we've been told, hang for Sue Gray's report. But if it now comes so redacted because of the police inquiry, is there any point?
Well, it's the worst of all worlds, isn't it? And somehow we seem to have lost the kind of plot, because this was a report which was commissioned essentially by the Prime Minister, but ultimately by Parliament, for him to account to Parliament for whether he'd lied to Parliament and what was actually going on. And a redacted report isn't going to allow Parliament to look at these to reach this decision, which if the Prime Minister has lied, then he should resign. He's not fit. I find it mystifying that the Met
reports of these potentially illegal parties at Downing Street. Is there justification? Is it pretty standard that they might ask for nothing to be made public, which might prejudice this investigation?
Well, we're essentially, it's what probationers do. So this is not complex legislation. And I'm very, very surprised that we've ended up with this situation. I think what should have happened right at the beginning, in November, when you had images of COVID breaches, the police should have gone in there and issued fixed penalty notices. It would have been the end of the matter there. And here we are 3 months later, now talking about reports.
I'd like to come back to you on that in a minute, Del Bubba. We've lost the sound slightly. But Caroline Slowcock, if it's not published in full, you know, what happens then?
Well, you know, I guess the Prime Minister will publish the redacted version, but it will be, you know, it'll be a fiasco, really, and the whole thing will just continue to drag on. And meanwhile, government isn't working. I mean, I was working for Margaret Thatcher when she resigned, and I know what it's like working for a Prime Minister in these circumstances. I mean, he's not functioning normally, and nor will the people be around opportunities, but I don't think he's doing any of the hard work that he should be doing at this point, you know, when we're facing potentially pressing domestic issues as well. Government is floundering, and we need a resolution of this quickly, and I think the public too need a resolution of this. I think they've made up their minds long ago that the Prime Minister has lied and that there were parties that want to attend.
I mean, you mentioned the dying days of Margaret Thatcher. You mentioned, you know, how, you know, premiership came to, ultimately it was the MPs who decided. Do you think, regardless of Sue Gray, ultimately it will be his own MPs who decide his future?
Yes, I think it will be, and many of them have said that they wanted to see the full, you know, waiting until the police report comes. But of course, the police report is into individual misdemeanors, essentially. It's not this complete picture which Parliament needs. And I think that Tory MPs really just have to bite the bullet here and make a decision about what they think about this crime. If they don't, then I think it's very corrosive for politics, because, you know, truth and honesty, you know, probity and integrity, these are very important qualities in a Prime Minister. And this is really what the issue is. It's not about, you know, who sliced, you know, which cake on what day. And I think that the idea that somehow it wouldn't be fair for the people who are being investigated if this report came out seems to me to be pretty strange, given that we understand that the people are actually simply going to write a letter and ask them to respond. I mean, it's very easy for them to talk to all their colleagues about what they should say.
Dalbabo, I mean, critical to both Sue Gray's investigation and the one being carried out by the police will be what police officers themselves knew. And I mean, how damaging do you think it will be? People want to know, you know, well, what did police officers know on the day of these events who were standing on the door of Downing Street? What's the process? What should they have done, if anything, at that point?
Well, in the kind of press headlines the Metropolitan Police would have got if you had armed officers going into the offices to try and end parties and issuing notices. Well, those police officers, it's important that we respect that those police officers have done a good job. They were there to protect Downing Street, and that's what they were doing.